Good morning, listeners. Hi, my name's John Ciaccio. I'm your host today for the Private Eye Nightline. With us today, we have Debbie O'Hara from Accredited Investigations. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, John. Good morning, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today, Debbie. Listeners, got a great show lined up today. Actually, the topic of the show today is starting over after divorce. We're going to talk about how to start over, what's involved, the obstacles, the ups and downs. We're going to have a guest call in, Becky from who called in during one of our shows about custody, the effects divorce has on the kids. Well, she's a great guest because she's going to talk firsthand what she is going through starting over. And believe it or not, there's a lot to be involved in understanding what to do, how to do it. When you're married and you have a family and you've been married a long time, you get comfortable. And then all of a sudden, you wake up and, you're divorced now. So I promise a very interesting show today. Let me see. Becky, are you there with us today?
Yes, I am, John.
Becky, look, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come back on our show. I was telling our listeners, you're a great guest because you had a divorce and you had to go through a lot from equitable distribution, the divorce, the child custody case, situation, and now you find yourself in a position where you're starting to start over. So I thought that the listeners be a great opportunity for them to hear firsthand what you're experiencing as you go through. For the listeners, Becky was married for approximately 15 years. They have 4 children. Pretty much a Cinderella life. I mean, a beautiful home. There was a business in the family. So pretty much it was pretty hard for you, Becky, to leave and start all over, huh?
Yes, it was for me and for the kids, and for people in our lives too, friends, relatives, just acquaintances. It affected a lot of people, from either just seeing us having to go through this transition, or having somewhat of an impact on their lives too.
Well, let me, from my experience dealing with a lot of clients and everything, there's not an exact science. There's not a blueprint. I mean, for everybody, it's different. If you're younger, you have no children, I guess it's easy to transition from being married into, not being married anymore. But when you have a long-term marriage and kids and a family business, that's a lot to leave and then to get acclimated and start all over.
Yes, it is. And plus, for me, and I'm sure for everybody else in the same situation, this is where you thought it was going to be. The rest of your life, how your retirement is going to, you'd be with this one person, and you wouldn't have to also juggle your children around and have to share them in a way, and let them go, and not be like seeing them every day, saying good morning every morning, at night, kiss them good night. You can imagine like that is now taken away. That's something so simple as saying hello in the morning, seeing them go off to school, onto the school bus. At first it's you're in shock. You're in shock, in denial.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, but I guess when you come home at the end of the day and you say goodnight to your kids, it's a given that you just think that you're going to wake up every morning and have your kids there, have your marriage, and move on. And all of a sudden, you go through what I call, pure hell in a divorce and litigate it through the courts. And then, first things first, what do you do? Do you seek counseling? How do you get to that stage where, okay, I know I have to start over? What was the first thing that you thought about?
Well, you can't. Somewhat, for me, you're maybe numb and limbo. But I would say, looking back, what I did do that was effective was surround yourself, keep yourself busy. Try, as much as you can, try to get up in the morning and dressed and get out there. Put your feet on the ground. Even there's no motivation, but if you just don't take a step, you're going to stay in the same place as you did. You don't move. Family, friends. Sometimes the beginning's great, and after a while, maybe it's too much, and then they start telling your opinions, but that means you're getting stronger in a way, because then you're realizing, okay, I'm starting to think, I'm starting to realize what's going on. Kids, try it again. For them, normal as possible, go to the sport or any activities, continue doing that, getting involved in their schoolwork, find things that you traditionally did as a family. Is it being Friday night board games or movies or make sure you have the dinners? So much, is so much is learn when you talk to your kids at dinner time and you listen and see what happened to their day and what funny stories. Sit down and just try to find out, maybe not think about yourself so much in that it is where you can just take a break from thinking, and just see yourself through those kids' eyes. See what they're at their level. How they say, get down on the ground and play with them and see their worlds on that level. Well, any level they are, I guess just start to put yourself and maybe escape a little bit into their childhood and realize that it's okay. They're okay. And I think once you know that they're okay, you're much better too.
Becky, it's Debbie. Hi. Becky, the hardest part must be for you, I would assume, not spending time with the children, either on birthdays or major holidays. That has to be the most difficult, I would think.
Yes. Things that you took for granted. Birthdays, holidays, or being invited to a family or some kind of function that the family was invited and it's not your time to have the children. And or with a conflict. With the other side having the same obligation, family obligation, whatever it may be, vacation time, things you could take for granted, now you have to share. And you do get used to it. It's still, it gets frustrating too. Because somebody will say in the family, are you having kids for this? Oh, I'm having so and so's birthday party. I'm like, oh. And I just get reminded what my situation is like. I am not able to say yes or no. Or most of the time I have to say no. How
are your children handling it? Like, say, a birthday comes up or a major holiday like Christmas. How are they dealing with it?
It depends. They got used to it, but they have their preference, and sometimes, they might speak up what they want, but they're told, no, it's my time, meaning that parent's time. And they just accept it. I think this time they just don't know they feel that they don't have a choice, and it's hard. But I think at least if they see both parents that day, they're content. That's all I think in the end. They do after a while, get used to it, and, as long as they see them both. And I think it would be helpful if the parents seem to be cooperating that way, to give each parent amount of time to see that child.
Well, let's talk about that, because in your situation, Becky, you don't even talk to your spouse. Everything gets exchanged either in email or text message or through the kids. That's got to be really difficult for you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Especially when I have something coming up in the future. It's somebody. One of my daughters going to a camp and staying with the hostess family, which we both, her father and I, were not very, comfortable with. but we never really spoke about it. I just learned from both of us that we didn't through emails, and then yet she signed up for 2 weeks. And now it puts me in a position because my daughter wants to do it. And I'm not happy about it. And what do I do? Like, I don't want to take this to courts, but it's difficult. It still hasn't happened yet. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I going to look into it more. I'm going to talk to parents that have sent their children to this, camp. But this, it's a shame because I don't know why her father had allowed it after he spoke that he was kind of concerned about her safety.
Yeah, that's what that's like a triangle relationship. You have your concerns, your ex's concerns, and then your daughter's wishes. Even when you communicate, it's hard to get everybody to see or get everybody on the same page when it comes to making decisions. But when you don't communicate or talk and you're left to reduce everything in writing, it's a hard way to find a resolution.
Right. And the children, are being used as a messenger, and kill the messenger. And because you sometimes react without responding because you're frustrated, like, to what you're hearing. And yet, who feels like they're being attacked? That child is telling me this.
Yeah.
And I have to watch it too, because I start asking questions, and it seems like I'm the one that feels that he or she is feeling, that's wrong here, and it's not. That's the worst part, is having them deliver the message, because they shouldn't, and I can't change. It's very hard changing that.
It's got to be really difficult for you and the kids. Becky, we're going to go to station break here. I'm going to ask you to hold on, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what were some of the steps to start working through starting over after the divorce. So stay with us, Becky. Listeners, we'll be back to you after station break, okay? Talk to you soon.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated offers a wide array of investigative services to law firms, insurance companies, individuals, private organizations, and corporations. Our goal is to reach the case objectives and resolve the client's issues as quickly and cost-effectively as possible. Local investigative services include identity, wrongful death, drug, alcohol, and abuse, and divorce, support, custody, and family investigations. For more information, call or click today. Accredited Investigations, when you need to know.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated. Professional, licensed private detectives with over 28 years of experience, providing comprehensive nationwide services. Our extensive and diverse team offers discreet and confidential consultations. Our state-of-the-art technology and investigative resources allow us to stay in front of other investigative companies. We welcome the opportunity to earn your trust and deliver you the best service in the industry. Call Accredited Investigations Incorporated at 866-821-5258.
You're listening to the Private Eye Nightline with host John Ciaccio. To ask a question or express a concern about today's program, please call toll-free 1-866-472-5788, 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to info@pinightline.com. Now, back to the show.
Okay, hi everybody, John Ciaccio. I'm your host for the Private Eye Nightline. We have Debbie O'Hara in the studio with us. Again, Debbie, thanks for taking time to come in the studio today.
You're welcome.
We have Becky on the phone with us. Becky, you still with us?
Yes, I am, John.
Okay, look, thanks for sticking with us through station break. Right before we went to break, we were talking about, the communications, between you, your ex, and the kids, and how, it's not a comfortable situation, so everything has to be communicated in writing through emails and texts, and then unfortunately passed along through your children. real difficult time, and I'm sure for you. I think you're still trying to learn a way, the best way to affect and improve communications. But let's talk about, so the listeners can understand what you're involved in starting over. I mean, you know, from looking at relocating to protecting your credit rating to mingling, you know, the kids in and out, vacation schedules. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going through to start over.
Okay. Well, I am. We have our house for sale, and it's, there is an offer, and being involved in packing up a house, and that's, you know, one thing is for me to do this, which again, it was a dream house, and the kids love it, and they're having a hard time with dealing with that, and it's easy for people on the outside to say, well, you know, it has to be done. They'll be okay. Well, where they go, okay. In down the line, they will be. But it doesn't make, they are kids, I mean, just as adults. It still stinks. It still hurts. And we're still, I really haven't found the right way of making it easier on them, but I try to just make sure I know what they're feeling and at least acknowledge it. And also to show that I'm also feeling this too, not to put guilt or make it that their pain's not hurt no less. It's just that I understand. More so is that I understand, and but we'll be okay. We will be okay. And I just keep on saying, let's just not put so much emphasis on it and be happy. You know what we have right now. And enjoy the house now. What do you like about this house? And let's enjoy it. We're trying to do things we always say we're going to do. For instance, having a movie night outside. I'm still planning on doing that. And doing some things with a little fire pit. Just little things like that for now. And activities that are not, it doesn't cost anything. And make it happy. Make the memories happy, not sad. So they can cherish it.
Let me ask you this: when it come to, we're talking about relocating. Your house is up for sale. You have an offer. It's a big house. You're going to have to downsize to a smaller living residence. With the amount of children and all that, that's going to be real difficult for you, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's doing on your own. It's making decisions. It's not just deciding not just for myself, but for my kids. I'm wanting to, know how they're feeling about it. It's being comfortable enough, close, to their school too. Their father moved closer, and so we need, I want to stay fairly close to where he's at, so it would just be easier on them. I'm hoping to maybe find a place that's on the same school bus. I know that's an issue even this past year. 2 different school buses, depending on which house they're staying at overnight. And I know they have some issues. Kids ask them, "Why aren't you on the school bus? Yesterday or this morning?" And they somewhat feel embarrassed. I try to explain to them that you don't need to answer either, and it's okay. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. But I know I have a problem too with the stigma. It's not necessarily. It's even though divorce is over 50%, it's still fresh to us. As if we're the outcast.
I mean, you're really thinking about everything, right down to relocating, looking to stay on the same bus route. I mean, that's, such a large list of things that you have to take into consideration. Starting over, I know you had to buy a vehicle, you're looking for a new place to live, selling your house, all this.
Right.
What do you do to get through this? I mean, what do you have, a to-do list? Somebody telling you, I know family, they offer opinions. my family's Italian, and of course we have more opinions than are needed. But how do you get through this? Yeah. Who's helping you make these decisions? Or are you doing this all on your own?
A little bit of both. I have to sometimes sit back and just not ask anybody, because it depends on where they're coming from. Like, for instance, if it's they're a realtor about a place, well, I got to see what her motives are. If it's the lawyers, or what their motives are, to get their opinion. And after a while, it's like, you got to really assess yourself. I would do a lot of research. I go on the internet. I look for, I guess, support groups or articles pertaining to my situation. I listen to different program podcasts that have on this, and question and answers sessions. There's support groups out there that you can go to and talk to other people and reach out. What do they do? I think the best resource is finding someone similar and who knows that they've been in your shoes. Yeah, it's still always different too. Like I'm looking for an employment. Because I had worked with my husband and built his business up, and now I need to get back to my career, which was put on hold once I had my first child, and that's kind of hard. And I'm trying to work on that, on educating myself, getting me certified in certain things to go back to work, and find that time, especially in the summertime. I'm trying to take care of the kids, what they need to do during the summer break. And they do have homework, some reading to do, and keep up on them. So it's really finding that balance and try to take in consideration what needs to be done, but don't get overstressed over it. Sometimes I do get overwhelmed, but I need to step back and say, what is the most important thing right here now? And it might not be finding that house right now. It might not be packing. It might be finding that job first. So it's a daily decision making on a to-do list.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 10, 15 minutes, just what we discussed, you had to go buy a new vehicle, you're looking for a place to live, you're selling your house, you're trying to find a place that affects staying in the same school zone with the same bus route, getting your kids situated, scheduling vacations. It's amazing how you're able to work through these, if I hate to use the word obstacles, but a lot of this would be obstacles that you have to work through.
Right.
Let's talk about the employment. I mean, you left, when you were married, you had a family business, which provided a great income for your family, and now you're left without that. So, how hard is it for you to re-jump your career and start over?
It is not. And the career I had, it appears that it would be, but it's not. I've been out of it for over 20 years. And it's a field that, it just progresses, and then technology and everything else, and keeping up with that part of the profession. It's also physically too. The career I had also had a physical demand on me, and my body's not the same as it was 25 years ago. And I did also have children, which the hours are could be almost 24/7. I used to be on call, so I would work. I should be called in the middle of the night, and that's something I got to consider too. Well, who's going to be home if I do get called in? It's going back to the career I used to have. I was, and since then I was in a car accident that left me, with a chronic pain, and I can't stand in long durations, and that's another thing that I have to think about. Like the career I had also demanded, long standing and heavy lifting. This is a lot. So from that reasoning alone, what I was, my expertise in that field, I need to see if I can go into doing more of a sit-down job, more of a, chart review. And again, that needs a certification, more learning. and taking college courses. And where do you fit that in along with putting a house up for sale and packing up and finding a place?
Yeah, I mean, the employment setting alone, I mean, the demands that your career or getting back into your career is putting on you, but then how do you work into the schedule with your kids, visitation, being there for your kids at the right times, and still committing full time? That's tough. And then you throw in packing up a house, selling a house, finding new location. I'm telling you, it's never ending, and unfortunately, it's got to be taking a toll. We're going to talk about that, Becky. We're going to take another station break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the effects, the toll it's taking on you. So stay with us, okay, Becky, and we'll be back with you soon, all right? Listeners, we'll be back shortly after station break.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated offers a wide array of investigative services to law firms, insurance companies, individuals, private organizations, and corporations. Our goal is to reach the case objectives and resolve the client's issues as quickly and cost-effectively as possible. Local investigative services include identity, wrongful death, drug, alcohol, and abuse, and divorce, support, custody, and family investigations. For more information, call or click today. Accredited Investigations, when you need to know.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated. Professional, licensed private detectives with over 28 years of experience, providing comprehensive nationwide services. Our extensive and diverse team offers discreet and confidential consultations. Our state-of-the-art technology and investigative resources allow us to stay in front of other investigative companies. We welcome the opportunity to earn your trust and deliver you the best service in the industry. Call Accredited Investigations Incorporated at 866-821-5258.
You're listening to the Private Eye Nightline with host John Ciaccio. To ask a question or express a concern about today's program, please call toll-free 1-866-472-5788, 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to info@pinightline.com. Now, back to the show.
Okay, thank you, listeners. Again, we're discussing the topic starting over after divorce, and we have a caller by the name of Becky with us today who's been really great about joining us, but sharing a lot of the emotions and stuff that she has to contend with. We're going to get with her in a little bit. Debbie, some exciting news for our listeners. We're moving our show, listeners. From now on, we're going to be on Wednesdays, and we're going to be starting our show Wednesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we're basically going to have a night show, huh, Deb?
That's more fitting, more exciting.
Yeah, it's great. We're going to talk to our listeners at night. We're going to change mix it up a little bit, change some of the show's topics. What I like is that we're going to try to create some different segments. We're going to talk about what's in the news, like, a week and a half ago, what happened in Colorado. I mean, that was devastating. The effects of an individual, by all accounts, was very intelligent, working on a PhD program, and he just goes berserk.
Completely snapped, and I don't believe we know as of yet what the motive was, if there was indeed any.
Of course, our hearts, our heart and prayers go out to the victims and their families, and wish them Godspeed in trying to find a way to deal and work through this devastating time in their lives. I know firsthand, Debbie, 28 years of this, I've had some clients, individuals that showed a psychological disorder and either shot somebody or they themselves were involved in this situation and were shot. Doing this for 28 years, I've seen it firsthand, and the effects are horrific and devastating. So again, our prayers are out to the victims and their families, and Godspeed in trying to find a way that softens or at least helps them deal with this such a devastating time in their life. Okay, Becky, are you still with us?
Yes, I am, John.
Okay, good. I want to thank you again for taking the time to be on our show today. Prior to the break, we were talking about the different issues of starting over after your divorce, and we were talking about the employment and everything. That in itself could be a full-time project, plus everything else you have to do. How do you juggle everything? I mean, what do? You have a checklist every morning you wake up and go to it?
I use devices to this way. I would write things down, but I would lose them. Piece of paper, but I would have, like on my smartphone, I would put in things that are due or a calendar and have timers that will come up or notify me. That's for me. But if not, my other thing is just getting a big or a small notebook and, looking at it every day and looking at it in the morning or night and putting in a category. But I also have, I wanted this to change here too, but as far as like helping me out, I want to tell listeners too, you have, when you asked me about who helped me and all that, I want to acknowledge that you have helped me through this too. There were many times where I thought, am I really this wrong? Am I really seeing this way? Am I really acting? And you have, without me even complaining or saying anything, pinpoint certain things. And I said, oh my God, someone finally got it. Like they understood what's going on. And that's a big relief to, and if any listeners, sometimes it's just acknowledgement that you're not crazy. And sometimes that's all you need. But you also have to make sure that person's not just saying it for their own motives. But I just wanted to say that because I know I haven't, thank you for that. And,
well, I thank you.
You went out further than I guess some people would think a PI would do. And also Debbie too. Has say things too in this, and I thought, oh God, they really do see, because I guess you have been been around and seen things going on and know people's behaviors, motives, and with me, I just felt like a cage animal at times because nothing was being done, and then of course I start reacting instead of responding because I'm thinking, why is nobody seeing what's happening here? So that's a big relief, and I want to thank you.
Well, thank you, Becky, and I appreciate that. And listeners, you heard it. I definitely have it on record now. She said that you did a great job. Becky, okay. on two fronts. On two fronts.
Anyway, going on to your question.
On two fronts, let me ask you this. On two fronts, you not only have your children, but you, okay? Your children, to safeguard them and keep them safe in the environment, to keep them physically, psychologically, emotionally, well-balanced and everything. So you have their needs and wants, but then your own needs and wants about finding a job, where to live, all that. I get it, and I know you have a good family structure support around you and everything, but is there ever a day or a time where you just say, wow, this is just so overwhelming, I just can't deal with this, and you back burner it, or how do you get through each day?
It's almost like when you take 10 seconds before when a child is frustrating you, and you say, the person can't 10 seconds, well, I say the Serenity Prayer. And I guess it's the same rule. because it just makes you stop and just take a deep breath and not focus on what's going on. But sometimes it makes me have to say it 10 or 20 times. But it's right now, for me, it's because of new things happening or things about to happen. It's more overwhelming. And then you just got to look for something that will give you a release of stress. For me, it would be walking, reading, sometimes I'll be looking out the window and I'll be so frustrated, but I would see nature, and I would just focus on maybe the bird or something. That's for me, just to get my mind, meditation basically. So that's what I'm doing. I'm meditating, taking my mind away. But it's a work. You have to be very aware of what you're doing. They say if you're feeling stressed out, a lot of times just stop and what are you thinking about? It's a hard thing. They say once you can do it, it's easy, but I'm still working on that, and it's hard. I can't say that. There's no really magic pill yet out there.
Well, Becky, basically, you're dealing with major life. I wouldn't say crises, but
altering, life
altering, that people deal with over a period of years. Mm-hmm. And it's almost as if you're caught in an avalanche. You're getting hit with all of this at one time. Mm-hmm. So you really need, granted you worry about your children, you're trying to keep everybody happy, but you do have to put a little me time aside and consider your own feelings.
Mm-hmm. You do. And I don't want to call it selfishness, but I need to be someone take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's not selfish at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned during this call about I'm also going through a custody battle too, and my awareness of what I need to do for that is behind my thoughts all the time. Like where I live will affect the custody issues. Needing a job will affect the outcome of a custody, decision.
Mayor, I got to tell you, Becky, that's a real important issue. I want to go back to that so listeners can understand that. As you move forward after the divorce, and you want to change the visitation order or custody battle, your decisions have got to be, when you make those, or consider your options in making decisions. It's important because it could alter, even if you're happy with a custody situation that you have. If you move outside a school district or get a job working midnights or something like that, that could give your ex opportunities to change the custody as it is, or what you have to decide on what kind of job, where to live, if you're going to pursue a custody fight. Right,
exactly. Right. I have family that are about 40 minutes, 30 minutes away. Why don't you live like where they're living at, and I would have a lot of help? But I know I'll be up in courts fighting to change the kids out of a different county. And again, there's the financial resource I do not have, or even emotional and mental, strength to go do that. It's something that's like what's the long term outcome? Is it worth it, or is it not worth it? And can you also have the strength to go through that? And I don't know where I'm getting the energy, because it seems like, okay, people tell me, well, down the line it will just be all over, but I don't know. There's many times it's like this, it turns from helplessness to hopelessness, and I know that's a bad place to be when you feel hopeless, and you got to get out of there once you feel that. And how, for me, I remember my children's faces, and they tell me they love me, and they give me a hug, and they're just constantly like, I out of the blue, not even like, staged. And then I said, okay, this is what I'm doing it for. But
yeah, it's almost like you find an inner strength. I mean, that's how you get recharged, is you plug into the kids and feed off them. And when they send you those signals and those messages, it's almost like recharging a battery. I know that with my own two kids. All right, Becky, we got to go to break again. I just want to remind listeners from now on, starting next Wednesday, we're starting our show at 5 o'clock on Pacific time and 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So it's going to be a great show Wednesdays. For the Private Eye Nightline, I'm your host, John Ciaccio, with Debbie O'Hara in the studio today, and we'll be back shortly after station break.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated offers a wide array of investigative services to law firms, insurance companies, individuals, private organizations, and corporations. Our goal is to reach the case objectives and resolve the client's issues as quickly and cost-effectively as possible. Local investigative services include identity, wrongful death, drug, alcohol, and abuse, and divorce, support, custody, and family investigations. For more information, call or click today. Accredited Investigations, when you need to know.
Accredited Investigations Incorporated. Professional, licensed private detectives with over 28 years of experience, providing comprehensive nationwide services. Our extensive and diverse team offers discreet and confidential consultations. Our state-of-the-art technology and investigative resources allow us to stay in front of other investigative companies. We welcome the opportunity to earn your trust and deliver you the best service in the industry. Call Accredited Investigations Incorporated at 866-821-5258.
You're listening to the Private Eye Nightline with host John Ciaccio. To ask a question or express a concern about today's program, please call toll-free 1-866-472-5788, 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to info@pinightline.com. Now, back to the show.
Okay, thank you, listeners, for sticking with us through station break. Debbie, just wanted to take a little time here. I want to make sure we plug Accredited Investigations, Inc. for being a sponsor, allowing this show to, support this show to exist. For listeners, if you would like, you can go to Accredited Investigations website, and that's pionline.com. That's PEYEONLINE.com, and you'll see all the services that they offer and so forth. Becky, you still with us?
yes, I am.
Okay, again, Becky, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today, but I also want to thank you for sharing, your story that, a lot of the difficult times that you're having, your emotions, what you're feeling. I think, it's important to our listeners to know first, from you firsthand what it's like, what you're experiencing. And I, too, have a mutual respect for you with everything that you've had to go through. You paid professionals to help you, and a lot of them abandoned you. I guess it's like that old saying, no one's going to help you like yourself. And
Right.
you definitely have, you grab that bull by the horn and you're wrestling with it every day. And I think from when I first met you, you had definitely took charge of your life and your children's life and have done great things, from their medical needs to their emotional needs. So just stay with it, Becky, and whatever you do, know that you're doing it. Let's talk about, in this last segment, let's talk about all the intricacies, all the little nooks and crannies that you have to take in. Like, I remember you telling me that you're worried about your credit rating dropping, doing your taxes and all that. All those things people, you're married and you figure, okay, you're going to stay married for life. So those are all things that are given, that are routine. But boom, then all of a sudden you're divorced. Now you got to do your taxes. You got to worry about your credit rating, finding a job. Let's talk about those day-to-day issues that you have to contend with.
Yes, paying the bills, making sure that you're meeting the bills, and where am I getting the income for those bills? Managing, a budget. That's something I have to, luckily, I didn't. I was 50 during our marriage. I got credit for saving. I was and my husband was more the opposite, or ex was more the opposite. Sometimes there was a balance, but yet it's still a struggle, especially now, because you can't. Again, as much as you might not overindulge, you were accustomed to a lifestyle. That you have to question everything. That do I really need that or purchase? My kids, we always had during our marriage. Never went overboard, but now you have two parents, two homes. I will not try to compete, and I don't. And I do not feel that they love me less for that. They're just happy, and I think that's another thing about try not to worry when it comes to money. Don't worry about having to supply those material things to your kids and keeping up. They want you. Other day-to-day things is be very conscious, more so now, especially now with the heat. Like I'm constantly going around the house, making sure that there's if one room is not going to be used at all, the vents are closed. More so, I'm doing that. Make sure the blinds are down. Electricity. Lights are not necessarily on. That it's something that you took for granted before.
Wow, and just for our listeners, Becky, this is from someone who had it all. I mean, listeners, she has a built-in pool inside her house, not outside, but inside. So I hear you, and then the life change alone, to looking at the electricity bill, monitoring the heating bill, and all that. And now, it's emotionally, it's got to be tough to know that you could have spent money, but now it's you can't spend money because you don't have it.
Right. And then I need to maintain the house to a point where it's sellable too. Like you had mentioned, the indoor pool. I'm maintaining that. I'm the one taking care of it. It's a year-round pool we can use. We did not use it during the winter. It needs to be heated. It's very expensive to heat that water. I just recently had a mishap with something, one of the motors of the pump. I need to get that fixed because it needs to filter the water. There's no okay, just let it go. I can't sell a house.
And that's got to be expensive, not in your budget. I know you can't go to Walmart and get that pump, so that's got to be major expense that now you have to incur. Mm-hmm. But it's another thing unexpected that is put on your list of things to do or accomplish.
Right. And again, it's daily decision making. What do you want to put the money into? I have my house is almost on 3 acres. Okay, I definitely have somebody cutting the grass. I try to do the weeding, and it was just too overwhelming. I just recently got weeding and mulching done, and this is already August, so it did not look good outside. From a buyer's point of view, I would not buy this house putting outside. Now it does make a difference. I did try to hire high school boys to do the weeding. They did it, but it's just I knew it's a big task. If it gets really overweeded, just at that. I had what do I do? Now that I use that money for that, what did I have to cut back? I'm not going on vacation. I haven't really gone on vacation, but I tell the kids, this is our vacation. The pool. We're, enjoying, having people, your friends sleeping over, doing the, s'mores and making them at night, different things. And that's fine. For them. So,
Becky, so basically all the responsibilities of running that household is on you, not on your ex.
No.
That's not something that you share between the two of you.
Right. I have, my house has 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. I'm the one maintaining all of them, and that including not just the cleaning, the maintenance of it if something breaks.
Wow.
Which constantly is something broken.
Wow, that's a lot to undertake and be responsible for. They're telling me we only have a couple more minutes. I want to share with the listeners. Here's my last question for you, Becky. I'm going to get personal on you, so I'm just giving you some warning. Emotionally, I understand the kids, getting them right mentally, psychologically, emotionally, all that. What do you do? Are you happy, or did you find happiness? How do you survive each day with everything else you got to tackle?
I just want to feel content. I have to say, I am not happy, but no one else can make me happy but me, and I'm still trying to figure out how to be. But I'd rather just be content. I think content's the best thing, because happiness, it depends on, it's an individual thing. I haven't found it yet. Because I have not allowed myself to be happy. And Debbie, you said it. I have to take care of me.
You most definitely do, Becky. But I think as time goes by and you get rid of some of the headaches, like you finally do sell the home and you finally get settled into a new place, eventually, you will be happy down the road. But it's very difficult right now because you have a lot of obstacles in your way.
Yeah, but Debbie, I think she needs to get her hand held. She needs to get out there and emotionally for herself. I hear you, Becky, being content, but you're doing everything else. You need to be happy, and at whatever cost, you need to find that happiness.
Yeah, you definitely have to put yourself at the top of the list.
All right, Becky. Yeah. Well, look, I want to thank you very much, really, for opening up your, the side that everything you have to struggle with day in and day out for our listeners to know firsthand what starting over after divorce is really like. So, again, thanks for sharing that information and your story, and wish you all the luck, best of luck to you.
You're welcome. And as I say to listeners, I didn't always listen to him. Sometimes we did butt heads.
Yes, we did, don't we, Becky? Yes, we do. But I have it on tape now that you said we did a good job.
Okay.
All right, listeners, we are next week, Wednesday night, 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a great show. I want to thank Debbie O'Hara from Accredited Investigations for being in the studio. We'll see you next week. Talk to you then. Take care.
Thanks again for joining us this week. The Private Eye Nightline will be back next Friday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel. John Ciaccio hopes to have you tune in again next week.